Before you watch this story, make sure to like and subscribe because what happens next will shock you and you do not want to miss a single second of this incredible story. Asterisk. In a bustling city filled with towering skyscrapers and busy streets there was a man who many overlooked, a janitor working quietly behind the scenes, cleaning floors, emptying trash, and making sure everything ran smoothly. Most people passed him without a thought, focusing only on the flashy executives and the wealth that surrounded them, but little did anyone know that this ordinary man was about to step into a moment that would change everything that he ever knew, and more importantly, change the lives of people he had never met in ways that no one could imagine. It all began on an ordinary Wednesday morning when the office building hummed with the usual routine phones, ringing, papers shuffling, and the scent of fresh coffee filling the air. The janitor was finishing his rounds when he noticed something unusual. A series of numbers on a spreadsheet, opened on a computer, left unattended. The numbers did not make sense to him at first, but something about them felt off, a feeling he could not explain, like a puzzle waiting to be solved. He remembered stories his father told him about logic and problem solving, and for reasons he did not understand, he decided to take a closer look. He moved the chair quietly and studied the spreadsheet, tracing the figures row by row, line by line, and within moments a realization hit him. The problem that had baffled a team of top executives for weeks was right in front of him, and in a flash of insight, he corrected a single formula that immediately unlocked a staggering discrepancy worth over $100 million. And the reaction was instantaneous. Alarms rang, executives rushed in, and everyone stared in disbelief at the screen. The janitor, who had been invisible just moments before, had solved a problem that had cost the company untold sums and shaken the confidence of some of the most brilliant minds in the business world. Asterisk. The news of what had happened spread like wildfire, and soon the millionaire CEO of the company personally arrived at the office to see for himself what everyone was talking about. The executives, who had been working tirelessly on the problem for weeks, watched in disbelief as he approached the janitor. The man, who had quietly been sweeping floors and emptying trash, had just solved a problem that cost the company over $100 million, and the room seemed to hold its breath. The CEO stopped in front of the janitor and stared at the spreadsheet, his eyes scanning the numbers. He had thought he knew every detail, every line, every formula. Yet here was a man who had never gone to business school, never taken a finance class, never held a boardroom meeting, and yet had seen what his entire team had missed. The janitor looked up, nervously unsure if he was in trouble or if he was about to be praised. He shifted the mop in his hands and felt the weight of all eyes on him. The CEO smiled slowly and said, "Sometimes talent comes from the most unexpected places, and people underestimate the power of looking at a problem with fresh eyes." The janitor blinked and said, "I just saw it." The CEO nodded and asked him to show how he solved it step by step, and as the janitor explained the sequence of observations, the corrections he had made, the logic behind his insight, the room went silent again. The executives could not believe that someone they had passed by every day, with hardly a thought, had just outsmarted them all. And when the explanation ended, the CEO extended his hand and said, "I want you to join us in a permanent role. Your insight is invaluable, and I want you working alongside my team." The janitor hesitated, unsure if this was real or some kind of dream, but seeing the sincerity in the CEO's eyes, he nodded and accepted what would become the opportunity of a lifetime. The next weeks were a whirlwind of training, introductions, and learning. As the janitor adapted to his new role, he amazed everyone around him with his unique perspective, his attention to detail, and the creative solutions he offered. He questioned processes no one had questioned before and suggested improvements that no one else had seen. The executives began to rely on him more and more, and with every challenge he faced, he grew more confident. Each small success, building his belief that he truly belonged in this new world. Soon, he was leading projects, developing strategies, and finding solutions that saved the company millions more. And what was even more incredible was how he inspired others. People who had once dismissed him now sought his advice and listened closely to every word he said. His rise through the company became the talk of the industry, a story not just about numbers and profits, but about vision, insight, and the extraordinary potential hidden in the most overlooked people. The janitor, who had once quietly swept floors, now walked the halls with a sense of purpose and respect. People marveled at how he had gone from being invisible to indispensable, and yet he remained humble, remembering the night he had simply noticed something unusual on a spreadsheet and decided to take a closer look. That single choice had changed everything for him and for the company, and it reminded everyone that greatness can come from anywhere, that sometimes the most ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things, and that the world is full of surprises, waiting for those who pay attention and dare to act. Asterisk. As the janitor settled into his new role and the office slowly returned to its usual rhythm, The story of how he solved a $100 million problem continued to inspire everyone who heard it. It was no longer just a tale of numbers, spreadsheets, and corporate success it had become a lesson in paying attention, in noticing what others overlook, and in understanding that brilliance can emerge from the most unexpected places. People began to talk about it in meetings over coffee and in elevators, sharing the story with colleagues, friends, and family, wondering how one man with no formal business training had managed to outsmart an entire team of experts. The CEO often recounted the event as a reminder to always value every perspective and to never underestimate the quiet person working in the background. For them, the janitor had become more than an employee. He had become a symbol, a reminder that courage, curiosity, and a willingness to act can open doors no one even knew existed. And as the months went by, the janitor continued to thrive. His insights continued to drive innovation, and his story continued to reach more people through news outlets, social media, and word of mouth, inspiring countless others to look at problems differently, to trust their instincts, and to believe that no matter who they are or where they come from, they could make a difference in the world. Viewers who heard this story were reminded that the next time they feel overlooked or underestimated, it might just be the moment before their own breakthrough. That greatness does not always announce itself with fanfare. It often waits quietly for someone to notice it, for someone to take action, and for someone to step forward, just like the janitor did. So if you were inspired by this story and want to see more tales of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because the next story is already waiting, and it promises to be even more unbelievable and unforgettable. Remember, the world is full of hidden talent and unexpected heroes, and sometimes all it takes is one moment, one observation, and one brave decision to change everything forever.